Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF, the last and final DAF of our dear Maseches KIDDUSHIN. Says the Mishnah on top, Lo yilmad adam ravok soifrim. Ravok is a single fellow, unmarried person, should not take up a permanent position as one of these soifrim, as a Rebbe who teaches youngsters. V'lo silmad isha soifrim. Likewise, a woman should not be in that type of position. I think more will explain the reason for this. Rabbi Yehuda, even if a person is currently without a wife, I think more will explain what this means. Lo yilmad soifrim, he should not take a position as a Rebbe of youngsters. Rabbi Yehuda Lagire ravok behema. A ravok fellow, a single fellow, should not be looking after animals. Likewise, two single men should not be sleeping with the same talis, the same cover. Chacham say, well, Yisrael are not suspected of this inappropriate type of lifestyle, interacting with animals or men as married, so therefore there's no concern in these last two cases. Back to the beginning of the Mishnah, which says that a ravok should not take up a position as a Rebbe of youngsters. Why? My time. Is it because he may be tempted to interact inappropriately with his charges, with his youngsters? There's no concern, according to the Chachamim, about Mishgav Zechur, interacting with a male in this inappropriate way. The Chacham responded to Rabbi Yehuda, who was concerned about the ravok with the behema, or the two ravokim. No, there's no concern. Yisrael KIDDUSHIN, they're not tempted with these types of things. They're not chash, they're not suspected of this type of behavior. So why would we not allow this ravok to teach youngsters? Ella ravok mishama am hosadinuki. Oh, the concern is like this: the mothers of those youngsters who come to pick up the kids, and that might lead to the development of a personal, close relationship between them, the mothers, and this teacher. The same thing with the Isha who's going to take up this position is a problem, because the fathers come and go, and there's a concern there. Even if somebody is currently without a wife at his side, he should not be teaching youngsters. The question is like this: does it mean that he is right now totally unmarried? Right? So this is adding another point to the Tanakama. Tanakama says a ravok who was never married. And Rabbi Yehuda comes and adds, and he says, look, even if he had been married in the past, but if he's currently unmarried, he runs into the same concern. Or perhaps Rabbi Yehuda meant differently. He meant to take it a step further. Even a married man must be careful. His wife must be at his side, locally. That if his wife is currently out of town, even in this case, Rabbi Yehuda is concerned and doesn't allow this. Tashma. So the answer is like this: so we have a price. Even if he has a wife, he's married, but she's not currently here. She's not local. Lo yilmad soifrim, should not be teaching these youngsters. So even that presents a temptation. Rabbi Yehuda adds a concern regarding interacting with animals or with a fellow male. Tanya Amalei Rabbi Yehuda. The Rabbanan responded, no concerns, Yisrael, not on this and not on that. So bottom line, a ravok, person who's single, says the Tanakama, keep away from situations of temptation. Regarding behema and zechur, Chachamim disregard that concern. Rabbi Yehuda adds, provided that his wife currently resides with him, otherwise there's a concern as well. Misha Asagivim Anoshim. Says the Mishnah, even though we learned yesterday, or 2 days ago, that one ish should not be misyached with two women, but if it's a crowd, 3, 4, that's okay. There's an exception to that as well. Here comes a stringency, echumra, kol she'amnusa or asakav im hanoshim. His line of work entails extensive involvement with women. He sells their stuff, their jewelry. So that creates a personal sort of familiarity, and therefore there's an additional concern. Lo yisachadim anashim, even if there are many nashim with him, there's a problem of yichud. And therefore, says the Mishnah, when a person chooses something to teach his son, a profession to train his son, therefore he should keep away from this type of profession. He should teach his son professions that don't involve over-involvement with women. Ramei Omer, on the topic of professions, one should teach his son a profession which is nikia, clean of any, free of any dishonesty or avera. Vikala, something easy. Lest one think that only through real hard, difficult work he will generate enough income. It's untrue. Just make your ishtalus and daven to Hashem, who owns all the wealth, owns all assets. She'ein umanus. The truth is, here's the secret: there's no winning profession. Every profession has its ups and downs. She'ein umanus, she'ein b'haniyus v'ashirus. From any type of work, a person can get wealthy, or the reverse, he can be unsuccessful. You know why? Because it's not the profession that generates the income. It's not the umnus that creates the aniyus or the ashiras. It's all about your mazel and what Hashem has in mind for you. Therefore, it's all about doing a little bit of ishtalus and the rest, daven. Reb Shimon Elazar Omer, take a look. Go to your local, zoo. Do you ever see an animal, a bird, with a profession? Despite that, they get everything they need without much toil. And we have a kavod chomer. Why were they created? To serve me, to serve man. I was created to serve Hashem. So if it goes easy for them, doesn't it lend to reason that I too should have the same ease in earning my livelihood? Why not? So why doesn't it happen so easily? Because we have bechira, and very often we stray and we stumble. Ella shoirati ma'asai, I've perverted my ways. Vikipachtim, because of that, I cut off as parnasasi, my livelihood. So the point is, turn around, do teshuva, daven, and the channels of blessing will open up. Abba Gurion Ish Tzadion, that was his name. Omer, he quotes Mishum Abba Gurion. The following professions should be off your list. When you teach your son, when you train him, it should be anything but these things, which involve temptations and very often dishonesty and lack of integrity. Chamor, a fellow who's a donkey driver. Gamal, a camel driver. Kadar, a wagon driver, or a fellow peddlers pots. Sapan, a captain, a ship captain. Roya, a shepherd. Bechemveni, a grocer. Shom nusan umnus listim. There's a lot of temptation and dishonesty in those businesses. Rabbi Yehuda quotes him as well. Hachamar. So basically, he is disagreeing with this version of Abu Guria's presentation. Just the opposite, says Rabbi Yehuda. In some cases, actually, it's commendable. These professions are good. They lead to good things. Hachamar and Ruben Rishoim. I agree that the donkey drivers are mostly Rishoim. They roam the roads, and Rashi says they end up in other people's fields. There's a story with the Chavetz Chaim with a wagon driver. So he used to drive around from town to town selling his farm. It so happens that the wagon driver stops beside the road and walks over to an apple tree. He's about to pick off an apple. The Chavetz Chaim calls out to him. They're watching. The fellow stops, freezes, turns around, starts looking. Nobody around. Okay. Goes back to about to pick the apple. Chavetz Chaim calls out again. They're watching. The man freezes, looks around. Nobody. So why are you saying that? So Chavetz Chaim points his finger upward. They're watching. So the Chamar who roam the roads aren't necessarily the most upstanding people. Therefore, we call them Ruban Rishoim, for the most part, the Rishoim. Vagamolan, the camel drivers, who are actually prone to teshuva because they're in scary places, in deserts, and they're always sort of subordinate and submissive to Hashem, a time of difficulty, a person tends to turn to Hashem. So for the most part, Reuben Ksherim, they're mostly upstanding people. And the Saponim, the captains, the fellows who ride the seas, who experience danger every step of the way, Ruba and Chasidim, they're even higher than Ksherim, they're Chasidim, really virtuous people. Taiv Sheberoifim Gehenim, the best DAF and the best doctors belongs to Gehenim. Why? Because Rashi says, the bigger the doctor, typically the more haughty they are, and they're not afraid of illnesses and sicknesses, and they think they run the world. So Taiv should be right from the best of the doctors, L'Gehenim. V'akasha should tabachim, the best of the slaughterers, of the sheichtim shutav shel Amalek, is considered a shutav shel Amalek, partner with Amalek, for his lack of care and concern regarding the halachas of kashrus. Why Dafka Amalek? I saw once that Amalek is its numerical value, its gematria is suffix. So, yeah, a person who's uncareful when it comes to hilchas treya, shchita, and creates situations of uncertainty and sfeikis and halacha, so that corresponds to Amalek's job. Rab Naraya Omer, Maniach ani kol umna sheba'olam. So on this topic of teaching your son a profession, says Rabbi Naraya, you know what, I would let go. I would ignore all other professions. I teach my son Torah, that will bring him success. So Farshim explained, what he means to say is that his main focus should be on Torah. Of course, Torah needs parnasa and everything, but the main focus, the kva, the permanence, the focus should be Torah. That will give him hatzlacha in everything that he does. Even in this world we get some of the schar of Torah, but the actual principle stays forever. For the world to come. That's regarding Torah. When it comes to other umnus, other professions, if the focus is on that, the person relies on his talents, on his abilities. He's not going to have the same success. Why? What happens when a person is unwell? When he gets to the old age? When he's confronted with hardships. He's no longer able to keep his profession going. He can die from hunger. He has no income. A person taps into the resources of Torah and the bracha of Torah. It's a totally different system. It's when he's young, the Torah guards him from anything bad. It gives him hope and something to look forward to even when he's older. As the pasuk says, what does it say regarding his young years? He gets koyach. He's strengthened in his youth. Even in his old age, it says, when he's in a time of seva, he'll pick the fruit of his labor. Likewise, Avram Avinu, who we know was immersed in Torah, what does it say? He was surrounded with bracha throughout his whole life, even during his old age. Avram Zaken, right? Hashem Berach, he was blessed with everything. Hashem Berach Avram Bakol. Why? Because Avram Avinu tapped into Torah. Matzino she'asa Avram Avinu es kol Torah kula. We find that Avram Avinu engaged in the entire Torah, even before it was really given. He already tapped into the resources of Torah. Shenemar, the pasuk testifies as such. He did everything right. Back to the beginning of the Mishnah. A person whose profession gets him overly involved with women, he serves them, he provides their needs. Surei Ra, his conduct is typically astray. For instance, those who create jewelry, those who comb and finish up the women's clothing, those who scrape out they make the ridges and the millstones for the women to grind, those who peddlers go around selling perfumes, those who weave women's clothing, those who give haircuts to the youngsters, whose mothers bring them to him, the launderers, the fellow who does the hakadat hadam, the bloodletting. All these people serve women. The bathhouse attendant, the fellow who produces leathers for the women's needs. All these people have to be careful from overexposure to women. On another note, we're not meant to use any of these fellows and appoint him as a king or a kohen gadol. Why? What's wrong with my time? Not because they're actually apostle. The profession isn't, of the highest regard, and therefore it's not covered. It's not respectful to appoint them as the leaders in Klal Yisrael. Once we're speaking about a blood letter, we have a brisa which lists 10 things regarding this fellow, regarding his conduct and behavior. Malach al Tzidai, he's a haughty fellow because everybody needs him, and he feels all proud and confident. He's walking sort of like sideways in comfort as he's walking down the street. Baruch Gasa, he's full of haughtiness. When he sits down, he sort of leans on something on the way down for support. He's stingy with his money. And he sort of has a very critical eye, meaning that he's always eyeing people, even healthy people, hoping that they become unhealthy and need his services. He's always eating a lot because as he makes his rounds to his patients, he's treated to meals, but he eats very healthily, so his waste is very minimal. And he's suspected of being involved with Araya since he's roaming around various homes and various places where women are found. He's suspected of stealing because he takes the tips from the women who pay him without their husband's knowledge. And at times he's not careful. He takes too much blood off the person, which can lead to Rashi says it can actually empty the person out completely of his dam, and that's shvichus dam. Darash bar kapara. Kapara teaches us lo'ilam. Just like in the Mishnah, a person should teach his son something which is easy and clean of any of any dishonesty. Mahi, give me an example. A profession which sort of fits this criteria. Amar Rabbi Yehuda machta de talmiyusa, some sort of sewing, like a mending type of job. Machta talmiyusa. Machat is a needle. Talmiyusa is like the furrows of the plow. So basically, the stitches, right? The stitches look like lines of the in the field. Okay, so that's a good job to do, easy and straightforward. Tanya Rabbi Eimer einacha umanus shaveres min ha'olam. There is no profession that's never needed. There's a need for everything. But lucky is the fellow. Ashrar mi sharoyas hirav be'umnus mu'ula. Lucky is the fellow who sees hirav. Hirav can refer either to his parents, the person's parents, or his children. Be'umnus mu'ula, in a respectable profession. And woe to the person who sees his relatives be'umanus peguma, compelled to be involved in some sort of low, mundane, menial type of work. And he gives examples. The world cannot run without the following two people. Belay Basam. Basam is a fellow who's involved in producing, pleasant smelling perfumes, and right. Ubelay Bursaki. The world cannot run with either of these two people, a basam or a bursaki. Bursaki is a fellow who tans leathers, but it's a very, very, menial and disrespectful job. Ashri misham nosei basam. Lucky is a fellow who's involved in the basam, line of work. Va'iloi mishum nusai bursaki, as opposed to the fellow who's the bursaki. Likewise, the world needs to run with Zacharim and Nekevos. Ashri mishabanav Zacharim, va'ilei mishabanav Nekevos. Lucky is the fellow who has Zacharim. And some learn the Meiri. Listen to this. He says the point isn't so much boys and girls. The point is that the Zacharim are doers. They're active. They reach out. They create. So lucky is a parent who has banav Zacharim, that is children, whether it's boys or girls. They behave like Zacharim. They produce, they're active, they're motivated, as opposed to those whose children resemble more the Nekeva side of things, which is more passive and inactive. Yilamed Adam Livnoi Umnus Nekiva Kala, right? That's what he should teach his son. V'yivakish Rachman, and ultimately he should ask Hashem, Shdaven Lamisha Oishav Anachasim Shaloi, Hashem, who's the source of all abundance. She'ein Aniyus Mina Umnus, Vein Ashiris Mina Umnus, poverty, wealth is never attributed to the actual profession, only to Hashem. Lamisha Oishav Shaloi Shenemar Liya Kesev, V'Liya Azov, No Hashem Tzavak, as Hashem says, it's all about my bracha. Reb Shimon Elazar Eimer. Tanya, Reb Shimon Elazar Eimer, Miyamai Lo Reisi. You know, funny thing, I never saw, in my entire life, I never saw the following. Tzvi Kayotz, a deer who is a Kayotz. He dries the figs out in the field. Never saw that. Va'ari Sabel, or a lion who's who lugs packages, right? Who's a mover, right? V'shul Chavani. I never saw a fox who was a grocer. They're never working. They have everything they need without any much effort. And look, they were created why? To serve me. Right? Everything was for Klal Yisrael. Why was I created? To be close to Hashem, to do the mitzvahs. Look at these animals who created for me, they have everything they need. They have the provisions without difficulty. Certainly me, who's serving Hashem, certainly I get what I need without tsar. Ella, so why not? Haroisi. I clogged up the channels through my averos. Turn away the bracha, the shefa from Hashem. So the way to fix it up is to do teshuvah and reopen all those conduits. I choose Torah to teach my son instead of other professions. Regarding other professions, it's limited in its reach. When he's young and energetic, he can engage in those professions and earn lots of money. What happens when he gets older? He'll be confronted with hunger. So when one relies, the strength of his arm, intellect of his brain, it's limited. But Torah, he taps into Torah. Torah gives him bracha and everything that he does, and it lasts forever. It's there for him when he's young. And likewise, it's there in his old age as well. As the pasuk says, that's when he's young. Even in his old age, he'll grow, he'll prosper. His mind keeps on going. He's successful. He has bracha. Even during the seva period, he's picking the fruits of his labor. The shenim v'rananim will be fresh and plump. And Rashi says, yitzmachu tzemach v'yisyachet v'yischadesh. He'll have renewed energy. V'yisyachet schoron le'is sevason. The shenim v'rananim Amen ken yirotzen. Hadran loch. Asor yuchsen. Uslikala Masechas KIDDUSHIN, Hadran Loch Masechas KIDDUSHIN, and Hadran Loch Seder Nezikin. Wow, Baruch Hashem, we have reached the halfway point in Shas. It was truly a pleasure and a schus learning together with you. May we all be zeicha to continue our learning with much hatzlacha and siyata d'shmaya, gesundheit, b'simcha, u'b'tuv levav, with much hatzlacha and bracha. Mazel tov, mazel tov. I know you know sis besoy sato yiro ki lo nu was the yiro oh is the no you know sis besoy sato yiro ki lo nu was the yiro I know you know sis besoy sato yiro ki lo nu was the yiro oh is the no you know sis besoy sato yiro ki lo nu was the yiro
was is besoys ha to yiro kilo nu was yiro no gilden no was is besoys ha to yiro kilo nu was yiro no gilden no was is besoys ha to yiro kilo nu was yiro